What if the crown begins to feel heavier than even a king can carry? What if the future of a monarchy, still rooted in centuries of tradition, suddenly begins to lean on the shoulders of a younger heir? Not by decree, but by necessity. These are the questions now rising softly but urgently around King Charles III. As the monarch continues treatment for cancer, the machinery of the royal household moves forward. But the balance has shifted, and as public duties are redistributed and ceremonial roles quietly handed over, the country watches with growing curiosity. Has something already begun behind the scenes? Welcome to Crownverse. Here, we don't chase gossip. We examine the subtle shifts in royal power, the decisions made behind velvet doors, and the legacies shaped not just by reign, but by resilience. If this is the kind of royal insight you seek, subscribe now and join us in uncovering what the crown won't say out loud. Since his diagnosis, King Charles has remained the monarch in full legal and constitutional terms. There has been no abdication, no regency, and no public signal that succession is imminent. But facts alone cannot smother speculation, especially not now. The reality is this: Charles is undergoing active treatment. His schedule has been reduced, his appearances are fewer, his public speeches shorter, and at the same time, a new rhythm has emerged. Prince William is everywhere, opening events, taking meetings, visiting regiments, accepting ceremonial titles, and more importantly, he's doing it without the king by his side. Take, for instance, the recent transfer of military command. In a carefully choreographed moment, King Charles appointed Prince William as Colonel-in-Chief of the Army Air Corps, a role Charles himself had held for decades. The symbolism was deliberate. William, in military dress, received the appointment in person. Charles remained at a distance. The handover, though ceremonial, carried weight beyond the rank. It's easy to dismiss this as tradition. Monarchs pass roles to their heirs, but the context matters. This moment didn't happen during a jubilee or coronation. It happened during illness, during retreat, during a time when William has been stepping up not for celebration, but for continuity. And this is where the speculation begins. Could King Charles be preparing, not formally, but gradually, to pass power, not through abdication, but through action? Sources close to the palace have offered nothing concrete. The institution, as ever, remains silent. But royal watchers, former courtiers, and constitutional scholars alike are beginning to speak carefully, cautiously, about contingency. No one uses the word abdication lightly. In modern British royal history, it is radioactive. The memory of Edward VIII still casts a long and complicated shadow. That king gave up the throne in pursuit of personal love, an act still seen by many as betrayal. And though decades have passed, the monarchy has not forgotten what it cost. Abdication remains rare and taboo. But illness is not scandal, and Charles's condition is not a personal failing. It is a fact of life. Monarchs are human, and the machinery of monarchy, in all its splendor, must prepare for every possibility. The Regency Acts, long established in law, allow for a designated regent to assume duties if a monarch becomes unable to fulfill them. That is a formal, legal process, and it has not been invoked. But what we're seeing now may be something far less official, a slow, quiet transfer of presence. William is no longer just the heir. He's becoming the face of royal action. When public engagements need coverage, when international visits require presence, it is William and sometimes Kate who stand in. And with Kate currently undergoing her own recovery, William's role has grown even larger. In a recent public engagement, one observer noted that William moved not with the air of a supporting royal, but with the composure of someone used to being at the center. The press reports speak of duty, of service, but there's something else. He's being positioned, increasingly, as the next sovereign in all but name. This does not mean that Charles is stepping aside, but it does suggest an acknowledgement that the crown, even when not passed down formally, may be shared in moments of necessity, that the heir may become the actor, even as the monarch remains the symbol. And where does this leave Camilla? The Queen remains at Charles's side, continuing public appearances, hosting guests, and supporting the monarchy in her own right. Some headlines have tried to paint her as sidelined or stripped of influence, but these claims remain unverified and likely overstated. Camilla retains the title of Queen, having dropped the consort after the coronation. Her role, though less dominant in the media, continues. Still, the public imagination is quick to fill gaps. When Camilla is less visible and Charles's health remains the subject of speculation, people look for signs, for change, for transition. And Prince William's growing centrality becomes the answer. But what would it really mean for Charles to hand over the throne? It would require more than illness. It would require a formal abdication, a decision likely coordinated with Parliament, the Privy Council, and the Church of England. It would demand national and global communication. It would not happen quietly. It could not. That is why, for now, this is not about abdication. It is about symbolism, about readiness, about staging the future without disrupting the present. Royal watchers often say the monarchy survives not through revolution, but through evolution. This moment of a king in treatment and an heir in motion is one of those quiet evolutions. It is how the monarchy absorbs uncertainty without showing fracture, how it signals strength without declaring weakness. And yet, the speculation remains powerful. It speaks to our fascination with power, with transitions, with the inevitable passing of time. Charles was born to be king. He waited longer than any heir in British history. And now, in the twilight of his life, he holds the throne. But fate is not always fair. Illness, unpredictability, and the press of duty have changed the narrative. William was not expected to step forward so soon, and yet here he is, firm, calm, visible. Not as king, but as the living answer to what comes next. And that may be enough for now. The monarchy does not need to declare its future. It only needs to show it, in motion, frame by frame, appearance by appearance. So, will King Charles pass the throne? There is no sign of it, not officially. But his actions, his silence, and his son's growing presence all suggest a story being written slowly, without proclamation. And as we continue watching, we are not just witnessing a moment in history, we are watching how history prepares for what comes next. If you followed this unfolding with us, thank you. What do you think? Is Prince William already acting as a shadow king? Or is Charles still firmly in control despite the illness? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget, If you want more explorations like this, rich with detail, grounded in truth, and never chasing empty scandal, subscribe to Crownverse. Because here, royal history lives on.